The time for convening has arrived. The Senate will come to order. At this time, I will ask all unauthorized personnel to exit the chamber. I recognize the distinguished Rules Chairman from the 28th for announcement for the Journal.
Oh, you're talking to me? You said distinguished, so you kind of threw me off there. But thank you, Mr. President, and good morning to everyone on this fine day. I will remind everyone today is opposite day, so maybe that's why you said distinguished to me. Today is National Irish Coffee Day. It's also Observe the Weather Day. Who knew? And I want to mention that there's a couple of fine associations up here today I've seen walking around. We got the Georgia Dental Association and the Georgia Optometric Association. So y'all be sure to tell them hello today. And every day here in the Georgia State Senate is Page Day. And sadly enough, today we don't have any pages. So I'll encourage each and every one of you to go back in your districts and really promote our page program, because it's an important and vital part of what we do here. We need them. So, Mr. President, the Journal has been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator, and we appreciate all that useful information I'm sure everyone will take with them today. So lead with the pages, congratulating the pages first. How about that? And Senator from 27th, I'm going to leave you responsible to get the 28th in order with this history and lessons there. But is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the Journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the Journal is dispensed with. Is there objection of confirmation of the Journal? Chair hears none. The Journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk. First reading and references of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 15 by Senators Harrell of the 40th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title I of the OCGA relating to persons and their rights, so as to provide that natural persons do not include an unborn child and shall not
Judiciary.
Senate Resolution 37 by Senator James of the 35th and others, a resolution creating the Senate Property Owners Associations, Homeowners Associations, and Condominium Associations Study Committee, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It is now time for the morning roll call. I apologize. Sign that last resolution to the Rules Committee. I do apologize for that. It is now time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Senator from the 33rd.
Thank
What purpose
you.
do you
Good morning,
rise?
Mr. President. Give me just a second to get out my dollar store glasses here. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the following senators for business outside the Capitol: 10th, 38, 12, 35, and 5.
Without objection, senators from the 10th, 38, 12, 35th, and 5th.
And the 10th.
I said 10th.
Okay, thank you.
Are excused. Are there any other motions? Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 20th for business outside the chamber.
Without objection, senator from the 20th is excused. Senator from the 40th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 43rd for business outside the Capitol.
Senator from the 43rd is excused. Senator from the 36th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 41st and the senator from the 26th for business within the Capitol, outside the chamber.
Without objection, senator from the 41st and 26th are excused. Senators, waves it off. Would any other senators wish to excuse? Hearing none, it is now time for the morning roll call. Secretary will unlock the machines, but we'll It is now time for our morning devotion, but before I introduce our senator and the pastor of the day, I just want to remind everybody today is the state of the state, and so on the points of personal privilege and things of that nature, I would ask everyone to be brief because we do have to be out of the chamber here over to the House promptly by 10:45, and so just ask everybody to be mindful of that. When we're doing points of personal privilege and things of that nature, and I also want to recognize my commander in chief back here. My wife Jan Jones is here today, the First Lady of the Senate. I'm glad to have her here today, and because she always keeps me on the right track on things. So it is my pleasure today. Come on up here, Pastor, Senator. It is my pleasure today to have the senator from the 16th and his pastor today. Billy Smith is a pastor of a wonderful church in Pike County, Georgia. He's a dear friend and is doing a wonderful job there in Middle Georgia with the, I think, third campus now that they have, and growing congregation, and really doing a lot of good work there in the Middle Georgia, Pike County, Lamar County, and Henry County areas of the state. So pleasure to have him here today, and I'd just like to call on the senator from the 16th for our Pledge of Allegiance and introduce the pastor of the day.
All right, let's rise. Pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The state flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principle for which it stands, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Courage. Well, good morning. I'm very glad. I almost lost all my notes and started to throw them away because the Lieutenant Governor did such a phenomenal job of introducing our pastor of the day. Pastor Billy Smith is a pastor of Christ Chapel in Zebulon, Georgia. And you wouldn't think it would be in Zebulon, Georgia, something that large. He runs about 2,800 a Sunday. There are 4 campuses in place. And I want to tell you what, he is a great friend, and one of the great privileges I've had as I've served is getting to know the pastors, because they are the heartbeat of the communities that are going on so many times. It's interesting, Scripture says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. We all need friends who will speak truth to us and not be offended. Sometimes we don't like that, because as our positions, sometimes everybody's always telling you how good you are and where you are and what's going on. I will say this, every time I sit under Pastor Billy as he shares, he steps on my cowboy boots. And I don't know that I can necessarily walk out the door and say I enjoyed that, but I needed that. But with that, also his son Cole is with us this morning, along with my beautiful wife, Debbie. And I'm going to turn this over and allow him to share with us this morning. Pastor Billy, if you would come, please, sir.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes, you got it.
Good morning. Thank you, Senator Harbin, for the invitation today, and Lieutenant Governor, thank you for allowing me to be here. I learned a long time ago as a pastor, he who is short-winded shall be heard again. So they give you a time limit here, and I promise you I won't take advantage of that. It's a busy day around here. You're in the room today because you're a leader. You didn't come this far in your journey because you're a follower. You had a campaign. You recruited folks. You raised money. You're a leader. And with leadership comes incredible responsibility. Leadership is influence. I was told by a friend several weeks ago, he said, Billy, if you're leading something, and you're the visionary, and you're out front, and you turn around and nobody's following, you're not leading, you're just taking a walk. We have a responsibility with the leadership that God's given each of us. We each have a different capacity to lead. Some have a high level of that, and some have a threshold that's much smaller. I gifted you a book today. It's on your table there, and I want you to take a look at that at some point when you have time. It's just a leadership book. But in this book by Dr. Tim Elroy, there's the principle of leadership called the iceberg principle. When you look at an iceberg, above the surface you see 10% of the actual iceberg. It looks enormous, it looks huge. What we have to understand is underneath the surface of the iceberg, where the naked eye can't see, that's submerged, is 90% of the iceberg. The iceberg principle when it comes to us as leaders simply says this: people see what's on top, but it's what's underneath and on the bottom that keeps us in the game. On top, there are things like our skills, our talents, our communication, our charisma, and people see those things. But what keeps us in the game is not those 10%. It's what's underneath. It's character, it's integrity, it's honesty, it's doing the right things, it's being kind to one another. The year was 1912, the date was April 14th, and the Titanic was taking its maiden voyage. Most of you are familiar with the story. On the bow of the boat, there were some people there who were watching out for icebergs, and they had sent 5 messages to the bridge saying, "Hey, we're in trouble, please watch out." The 6th form of communication went to the bridge, and they sent back the message that simply said this statement: "Shut up, we're busy." Bad leadership. Bad leadership. See, from the bridge, they were looking at the iceberg, and they saw that 10% above the water, and they thought the Titanic can handle that. But what they failed to understand is not what's above the water that sinks the ship, it's what's beneath the water that sinks the ship. And for leaders, it's the same. It's not our talents, it's not our skill level. Talent gets us to the top, but character keeps us at the top. Years ago in Europe, there was a young man, felt like he was unloved by his family. Nobody ever emotionally, gave him security. He never got a hug or a kiss from a mom. He went to his dad one day and said, "I'd like to be a priest," and his dad made fun of him. He went back another day, months later, and said, "I think I'd like to be an artist," and his dad made fun of him once again. As a teenage boy, he left home. He had incredible leadership skills. What people saw, the charisma, the talent, the ability to draw crowds. He had what was on top, but he failed to have what was on bottom. We all know who that was: Adolf Hitler. Some of the worst atrocities to our world happened under his leadership. I just want to warn you today, God gave each of us a gift of leadership. And it's something we have to steward. I tell my team often at my church when I'm with my staff, I say, I want you to remember, you're not a gift to this ministry. This ministry is a gift to you. And I would say to our room today, the state of Georgia is a gift to you. We're not a gift to the state of Georgia. It's our gift to steward our leadership and make sure that we make decisions that are best for our state. I just want to encourage you today. You're a leader if you're in this room. Lead well. Be able to go home at night and put your head up and square your shoulders and say, today I led well. I stewarded the gift of leadership that God gave me. The scriptural basis would be this: to whom much is given, much is expected. There's a huge responsibility that comes with leadership. I would love to have an opportunity to pray for you today. Is that okay? Would you stand with me? Lord, I pray over the folks in this room today. People who love this state as much as I do. I pray that you bless their homes and their families. I pray that you prosper them. I pray that this state, God, continues to have your hand on it. I pray, God, that we take our leadership capacity. Each of us, it looks a little bit different, but we take that seriously. You called us to lead. So let's get out front and lead. Let's make others proud. Let's use our leadership not to self-promote, but let's use it to help others and make this a great state. I pray blessings over this wonderful day here. It's a busy day here. I pray that you bless everything that happens, and I pray those things in the wonderful name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you for the opportunity today. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I'd like to have your attention real quick. It's my honor to call on the senator from the 7th to introduce our doctor of the day.
Hi, everyone. I'm Senator Nabila Islam from the 7th District. I'm introducing Dr. Indran B. Indrakrishnan. He's a gastroenterologist from Lawrenceville, my hometown, and holds a dual faculty position as an adjunct professor of medicine at Emory University School of Medicine and Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, Georgia campus. He received a gubernatorial appointment to the Georgia Board of Healthcare Workforce, which attends to rural healthcare in Georgia. And he has served as president of the Georgia Gastroenterological and Endoscopic Society and Georgia Association Physicians of Indian Heritage. Dr. Indra Krishnan has a special passion in the prevention of colorectal cancer, and just last week, Governor Brian Kemp signed off a proclamation declaring the upcoming month of March as the Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in Georgia at the request of Dr. Indra Krishnan. And I will share the mic with him. He has a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. I don't think it's too late to say Happy New Year. And again, not too late to say congratulations to all of you who won the election recently. Well, I'm just a doctor, so all what I can tell you is simple advice: stay healthy. Keep yourself in good shape so that you can take care of us, all the Georgians. All of you look very young and healthy, but do not neglect your annual physicals. That's very important. There are certain diseases which are silent, like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, some cancers, even depression. And by the time you know, it might have been too late, and you might have had some irreversible damage in your body. We are so much advanced in the technology and the science in treating the diseases, but not so much in preventing the diseases. So do your physicals on a regular basis, whether you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s. So a few tips, just for next few minutes, how to remain healthy, in good shape. Diet-wise, cut down 3 things, 3 S's: sugar, salt, and starch. So what is starch? White bread, white rice, pasta, pastels, and increase 3 things in your diet: fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, and nuts. Of course, we are in Georgia, we have no shortage of nuts here. And then moderation, 3 things in moderation, if at all: alcohol, meat, and fatty food. There's one thing I want you to avoid, if possible, is processed food. You know, the processed food is just comes in nice wrapper, you just open it and put it in your mouth. Tastes good, but not good for your health. So stay away from the processed food. Then the last thing is find some time, allocate some time for 3 things. Spend time with your lovely family, your true friends, and some physical activity. All these things will keep you in good shape, mentally and physically. God bless you all. Thank you.
You have a consent calendar of privileged resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the resolution on the consent calendar is adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw or commit? Chair hears none. We do have a little time for some points of personal privilege. And I will remind the escorting service for the governors that were appointed yesterday to remind you, Senator, from the 18th, the 15th, the 51st, the 55th, the 50th, the 3rd, the 22nd, the 46th, and the 47th. We would recommend you guys to get over about 10:40, start moving towards the House chambers. Like I said, we do have a little time for points of personal privilege. If we have no one, I will recognize the majority leader. It looks like we don't have any leaders, so hold on one second. We do have a senator from the 29th, the whip. Would you like to speak on a point of personal privilege? Yep, come on.
Colleagues, just briefly, some cleanup. The governor signed a piece of legislation into law. And just to remind everybody, the pledge to our flag is, I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and the principles for which it stands: wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. I recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President. I move that pursuant to H.R. 17, the Senate stand in recess for the purpose of convening a joint session to hear an address for the governor, and that upon dissolution of the joint session, the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday, January 26, 2023.
The majority leader has made the motion. Secretary, read the announcement.
The Rules Committee meeting is canceled. The Higher Education Committee will meet at 1 p.m. in 307 CLOB. The Insurance and Labor Committee meeting is canceled. The Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee meeting is canceled. The Joint Health and Human Services and Children and Families Committee hearing will be at 3 o'clock and 4:50 in the Capitol. And the Finance Committee meeting is canceled. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand in recess for the purpose of convening a joint session. And upon the joint session, the Senate will stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday, January 26, 2023. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes clearly have it. Thank you. And Senators, we will meet in the back and proceed.